Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode here on the Echelon. If you're watching on our channel or you're listening on the podcast, it's a very new format for us all, and we're basically going to be talking through the biggest stories of the week, the biggest races of the week, and really go into a bit more depth than we normally do. And obviously, I can't do this on my own, and I'm delighted to be joined by frequent guest on the Cycling Dane, Patrick from Outdo Cycling, and of course our very own Mr. Critical himself, Ewan Wilson. So yeah, we've got a long format. The racing season has started, and guys, how do you kind of feel that getting racing back in the cyclocross cobwebs are disappearing slowly?
I don't know. I'm like in between cyclocross and the road season. So I'm like sort of flipping between the two. And I feel like the road season, I don't know, it has kind of started because like Mallorca's done, which is sort of the season opener. I mean, lots of people have different like, beliefs as to where the season starts. Some people don't believe it and it starts until the opening weekend of like Omloop and stuff, but I don't know. I think it's started, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into it full swing, get all these stage races underway. We've had a couple, but I think looking forward to getting into the full swing.
I zone out from cyclocross, so for me, the season's already up and running. Um, and to be fair, it's the first time since 2020 that we've had, actually, maybe even 2019, that we've had a proper sort of season opener where we have the Australian racing, we have the South American racing, and it's all happening, and it feels like we're finally back to how cycling should be, and it's exciting. We see the mosaic of all these new jerseys in the peloton. Yeah, it's good fun and learning the new names of the new riders that we're going to be talking about today.
I mean, it's a shame that we don't have the Tour de Colombia. That's still not back, one of the races.
Hmm.
Mm.
But yeah, well, where best to start then with Australia, the Tour Down Under. We did a preview on the Cycling Dane channel. Ethan Hayter didn't win, despite both you and I putting Ethan Hayter down as the red hot favorite. But it was Jane Vine who actually took the overall, and yeah, quite an interesting addition nonetheless.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I was expecting Hayter to win as well. Like, I thought it was hands down. I thought it was like Daryl Impey-esque, sort of like not up Willunga Hill. So I was like, this is just like even Hayter's to lose. He's gonna get bonus seconds in the prologue, but it was like a wet prologue, so it was like kind of sketch. But Alberto Bettiol just went like full send. I think just before the rain started or whatever, like he was like first one off, and then. And I don't know. I kind of watched the rest of it and I was like, oh my God, nobody else is getting close to this time. It's actually ridiculous. To the point I thought Bettel was going to win the Tour Down Under, but didn't he cramp like the day after as
Yeah,
well?
he did. It was the most Bettiol way. Like the whole narrative of this race, Bettiol blows hot and cold. And he won the opening time trial, and it was like, yes, this is such a Bettiol thing to do, is to just like come out of the dark, come out of the shadows and win the stage. And then a couple of days later, he was cramping and throwing his bottle across the road in frustration. Yeah, I feel for him. He's clearly on good form. He sprinted well in the later stages of the race. I think the stage won by Brian Kokai was right up there on the podium. So he clearly had good legs, but that one downer of a day did really dampen his tour down under. But yeah, Hayter not really there. But instead, it's the Norwegian American Magnus Sheffield. He really provided some light for Ineos Grenadiers, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did
fourth
agree.
overall in the youth classification is not bad. I'll give him that.
Really?
Mm,
Oh, okay. I was gonna
yeah.
compliment you that you picked Bilbao, Ewan, and
Bro, he was
someone said
Athletic
to me
Stats
that
favorite.
Bilbao's too old for this, and I was like,
Eh?
"What?"
Nah,
Uh,
Bilbao's such a safe bet for this kind of race. He is a guy. We saw it. It's like he can probably beat a lot of these hilly guys in a sprint. He's consistent in the mountains and he can time trial well. In fact, his TT bike was capturing headlines because he had the sort of the strange bars that was
Oh
sticking out.
God, yeah.
I'm taking aero to an extreme, I guess. But he didn't win the stage, so what can I say? However, yeah, third overall, it's solid. Bahrain are back after a
Yeah.
disappointing end to 2022.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I think we should talk more about Jay Vine because I think this guy has
Fair.
had such a incredible. Well, we know about the Swift Academy, riding with Alpecin, but first race and winning it outright. Like I never saw Jay Vine as a 1 week specialist. We saw him almost win the Mountains jersey in the Vuelta a España, but this is yeah, is UAE just the step up he needed in a way?
I think it really provides some credibility towards that Swift Academy because, like, I'm not sure if it's just me, but I sort of saw it as a bit of a, I don't know, it was a bit of just like a nice thing on the side, like a bit of a, I don't know, here you go, here's a nice contract, but they'll end up just like leaving and going to some pro cons team after a few years. So it's good to see that it actually has worked. And yeah, Jay Vine, like, 'cause he won the Australian TT champs as well, which was interesting to see because people were questioning coming into UAE, will his positioning like on the TT bike allow him to become like a GC contender, like outright? But of course, now there's questions of is he going to be allowed GC leadership in other things, or considering just how saturated UAE is in terms of like Ayuso and Almeida, and Pogacar, of course. That's so many guys in there already. Like it's cool that Jay Vine's got his mark on the season before I presume he might be a domestique later on, but I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I heard it in an interview that he said that he was going to be riding for Almeida the Giro, but this is, I mean, looking very good. His odds were getting shortened by the minute at the Tour Down Under for the Giro d'Italia. He's now up there as one of the top 6 favorites to win the race overall in May, which is great. I think similarly, I thought the Zwift thing was a bit of a gimmick. The fact that we were just saying it all the time, like, oh, it's kind of his shtick, is that he was the Zwift guy, but now he's got this big win. And it did seem a little bit like the Vuelta might have been an anomaly, but obviously it is not. UAE is a very different environment to Alpes and Deceuninck, that must be said. UAE, it's an Italian squad. I know they ride under the flag of the UAE, but it's very Italian at their core, and it has a very different way of racing. That they kind of let the riders just flourish on their own. Maybe Alpecin wasn't like that, and Vine has flourished in this environment. He's very close to his partner. I don't know if they're married, wife, girlfriend. It was kind of their project to work together to try to maximize this opportunity at the World Tour level, and it really came into it was very fruitful early on in this season, and I'm very excited to see what he is going to be doing in the rest of 2023.
Yeah, was there anything else from the Tour Down Under that kind of stood out? Well, I saw Rowan Dennis doing something. He did something. He didn't do something in the first stage in his hometown, but yeah. Well, it's very hard to draw anything from this. We've also put the Cadel Evans Ocean Road Race in here as well. I must admit I didn't watch it, but
well, it wasn't available to watch in the UK
okay.
on broadcasting.
Nice.
There we go. That's why.
which is a bit poor. I think it should be a UCI regulation that it should be that all races should be available to broadcast in the major territories: the United States, United Kingdom, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy. I think that should be, for instance, should be an asterisk in the UCI. However, I mean, other performances. The man from Saint-Nazaire, Brian Coquard, finally won a World Tour race, dominant sprint down under. He also finished pretty high in GC. It was in 10th place, which is really good for a guy who we would say is a sprinter. Other strong performances: Simon Yates, and of course, I said in the preview, there's no way Yates is going to do well in this. The climbing is not hard enough, but he proved that he was there. Maybe he was trying to peak for this part of the season to get something for the home team of Jacob Al-Ula, but it proved to be strong. And similarly, Mauro Schmid, who I think should be a shoe-in for the Tour de France squad for Soudal Quickstep. Getting a top 5 in GC is very impressive for the Swiss.
No, Simon Yates is definitely. He was listening. He was saying it afterwards. He was like, "I'm going to prove you wrong."
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say Matthews was going to be the guy. Matthews was consistent, but didn't quite light my fire or anyone's fire really in Australia.
Didn't he Matthews was complaining about lack of respect to the peloton because he had a mechanical and then I can't remember, somebody just immediately attacked afterwards or whatever. It was very when Aru attacked when Froome had that mechanical years ago. It was kind of like that sort of thing. But I didn't really see much in it, to be honest with you. I think he was just complaining.
Yeah, sometimes you think they might be fishing for excuses here. Sagan said the same thing about respecting the peloton a couple of years back when he was almost being aged out by these wonder kids. But yeah, I mean, Matthews, he was probably disappointed. I was disappointed in Simon Clark. Clearly had good form going before the race, then got COVID just before the Tour Down Under, but still rode the race. Yeah, and then followed up with a strong result at the Ocean Road Race, which we will switch onto very soon.
Okay, we can mention that Ocean Road Race. No one watched it live anyway.
Yeah, I mean it was good because what's the name? It was Meyerhofer who won for DSM, which is really good because this is a contract year for him. So I mean, I hadn't really seen much from him. The only thing I can remember is he finished like ninth in a Tour of Britain stage last year. That one which like Beneu won, where Richardson was like launching attacks or whatever. And I was a bit like, who is this Meyerhofer guy? So then all of a sudden he was like pulling out some top tens and like he did good in the Schwabe Classic and then just wins this, UCI one day race. That's pretty much just probably going to secure him a contract for next year. And also, like Hugo Page was showing that those Dauphiné performances from last year weren't just a fluke. And I was like, oh my God, Hugo Page is 21 years old. This is like, I thought he was going to be at least like 24, but he's really burst onto the scene. Great, like, yeah, really good French sprinter there. So about some really cool youngsters actually coming up in that Great Ocean Road Race.
Yeah, I mean, Hugo Page, brilliant to see him up there. Getting some good results as he was throughout the Tour Down Under, up there in the top 10 on a couple of days. But it's rogue, isn't it? Marius Meyerhofer, not really on anybody's radar, and he wins this World Tour race. I know, like January can be a strange time. Riders are on sort of very different form patterns or training peaks or whatever. And we do get some rogue results at this part of the year. We'll talk about that once we switch to Europe and the sort of results there. And this race as well has a pretty interesting history of strange winners. Jay McCarthy won. We saw Pete Kenyon win. We saw Dries Stevenanes. It's probably got one of the most eclectic histories for a World Tour race and riders that have won it. You'd only say there's been maybe one A-tier rider in Elie Viviani, who was like, you would say, a top echelon rider who's actually won this race. So it is interesting, and DSM have hit the ground running. They've done well so far this season, and it's looking good for them going forward.
Well, DSM, it's not the last time we actually mentioned them. Well, moving on, turning our focus more towards a different continent, San Luis, the biggest race in South America, unfortunately. I would say the Tour of Colombia. But that's not really a thing right now. But it's one of the big early stage races. The last time we had it, Remco Evenepoel won it. And Remco was coming back here. We all thought he was going to win it in the World Championships jersey. But it looks like the Curse of the Rainbow jersey is already starting to take action. But we had a very sprint-heavy start of the race. And what do you guys think of the San Luis at the beginning of it? Before that crucial stage we'll talk about with a certain Colombian.
Well, I was just going to say that I didn't say that Evenepoel was going to win. Just drop that in there. But yeah, it was cool to see all this. Yeah, but it was cool to see like all the sprinting. Like it wasn't just like shit sprinters either. It was actually like good sprinters. But of course, like they were quite like truncated lead outs. So we did see. It was just like a stalemate. Like I mean, I liked the timing because it was in the evening, so you could just tune in for like the last bit for us in like Europe, which is nice. But yeah, so like the lead out trains really started going like 5Ks to go. But it was great to see like Jacobs and Bennett and like just everybody just trading punches really. And yeah, it was really cool to see just some really fast lead out trains. And yeah, it was I really liked it actually as a race.
This race is such an enigma to me. How can this like the stage race in like quite the periphery area of Argentina attract such big names, and it has full broadcasting? There was like 4 hours of broadcasting every day, and then they have huge crowds who are watching the race. It's fascinating how the San Juan race works, but it was another exciting edition with some real A-list winners. But also some tomfoolery, you got to say. That first stage, it was won by Sam Bennett. You shouldn't take anything away from him. But in the final kilometer, Evenepoel guided half of the peloton onto the wrong side of the road because there was nothing. There was no markers or stewards telling the riders where to go. So then Jakobsen completely missed out on winning the first stage. Yes, he bounced back to win stage 2, but it does seem like there's a little bit of chaos here. It was just that was then punctuated on the final stage when Faber Jakobsen got a phone to the face. I'd love to see the video of that happening, but it's just it's such an odd race. But we do have a winner in Miguel Angel Lopez, which you would say is a sort of A-list winner. Sorry, spoilers. You would say he is an A-list winner for this kind of race.
Well, okay, we might as well go there. Fernando Gaviria also winning. That was quite a shock.
Yeah, Quinn Simmons as well, but with a really, really strong attack in the final couple kilometers to get a win.
Yeah, it just flashes back to Stibar's win in 2020. I suppose Simmons even said that he basically took inspiration from where Stibar attacked on that kind of racing circuit. And he was like, I'm just going to do the same that he did. Because it was quite windy. Like, they were really in the gutter, like basically just like on the curbs of the racetrack. And yeah, it was really cool. I remember watching it and I was just like, this is pretty cool. But first I was like, who is this guy? Because like they've got new helmets on, and I was like, what? Who is this guy from Trek? And I was like, oh, it's Simmons. And then Ricchese just missed out, which is a bit of a shame because he's like retiring, and it would have been nice for him to get a win, kind of in his last race, especially on like home soil. But yeah, it was some really cool winners actually. Yeah, Lopez's win. I didn't actually watch it live, but
I did.
You did?
It was really good. Like Remco Evenepoel attacked with like I think it was 5-6K out, and you're like, this is it. No one can take him back. And like Ineos just worked so hard to bring him back, and then Miguel Angel Lopez has kind of just turned into like a Colombia fest, with the exception of Filippo Ganna, which we're going to touch on. But yeah, Ganna got punished for. Place. Yeah, he also got punished for his position as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did the sort of like the dog thing.
Yeah,
which Alex Richardson got.
True. Yeah, true.
He had a stronger penalty when the race was when at the Tour of Turkey in 2021, I believe. When he was riding for Alpecin, he got kicked out of the race, if I recall.
No one's kicking Ganna out.
That's the thing. That's the thing. But yeah, we were sort of left wondering what's going to happen to Pipo Ganna. But it was only a fine and I think a small point deduction. But it was sort of a negligible amount. However, I mean, we were talking about all the winners and Gaviria, Lopez, and so forth. But Sam Welsford really emerged from this race as a breakout star. The Australian, he's a track man, and he took 2 very, very impressive sprints. Is this just an early season fluke? He's from Australia. He's used to riding at this time of year. It's Australian summertime. And in the track program, it's a busy time of year. Maybe his body is just used to it. Maybe is it a fluke, or is he going to be continuing this form throughout the rest of the season for DSM? That is an interesting question.
I think it is interesting because I remember watching him like years ago, just like an Aussie crit basher at like the Bay Crits or something, and I was just like, this guy's just like a big trackie. Like he's got an FTP of like 100 watts. You don't know what's going on. But no, actually, like then developing into some dude who's actually just, actually beating some really good sprinters, like the top level sprinters, arguably in the world. Like that's pretty insane. Especially since he crashed early in the race as well. Like he kind of recovered because for some reason this race has got a rest day in it every week.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty weird as well.
That's another reason why this is enigmatic. Like San Juan is
any other 1 day races, 1 week races that has a rest day?
The Tour of Britain, that's because the Queen died.
That was like 3 rest days. Game over.
Yeah, I mean, it is impressive. He's 27. He's not exactly, which is usually paint by numbers your physical peak in cycling. Like he's not young, but he's just broken out in the past 2 years. Well, yeah, but Pogacar's not even 27 yet, so we'll wait.
Yeah,
and see.
Exactly. Just keep going.
Neither is Evenepoel, but historically, 27 is probably when you reach your peak. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Who knows? I'm excited. It's another DSM sprinter that we don't really have on our radars who has had early season success, a bit like Meyerhofer.
But before we leave Argentina, I still think we should talk a bit more about Miguel Angel Lopez. Yeah, that was quite funny as well. Astana was on his wheel. like hair on soap during that stage. And he put his Medellin teammates very underqualified at riding at that capacity that they were doing. But Miguel Angel Lopez really giving a finger to the world tour in a way, showing that he is, as we said earlier, an A-list rider. And I think this was a very sweet moment for him to win the overall.
Dare I say this is somewhat self-inflicted, though. You got to say some actions have consequences.
No, exactly.
What I can say on this, it's a fine line between slander and libel. But I mean,
don't get us cancelled on the first episode.
Yeah,
exactly. It's obviously some anger, some real motivation to get an early season result in the first race possible. He wins quite convincingly. His team actually did quite a good job at controlling the racing as well. You say inexperienced, but they have Fabio Duarte.
No, I said underqualified. I didn't mean inexperienced.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, but underqualified. Duarte has ridden a couple of GD. Oscar Sevilla is about 55 years old.
Exactly.
And then Superman is, former world tour rider, as we all know. But yeah, it was impressive, and their jersey is really nice. So I'm glad they got some.
It is actually.
I wonder what races they're going to be led into, because they are a Conti team. They're not a pro Conti team.
They'll get invited to like Volta Portugal or something, because that's already it's like a sketch race anyway.
Maybe copy Bartley as well.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, before we leave out, I'd just like to point out that I did say that Lopez would finish first and Higuita would finish in third place.
In the podcast
that did happen.
Preview, that is true.
Just dropping that in there, just in case anybody cared.
But did you see Ganna coming second?
No, I didn't.
No one saw that happening. Imagine the odds on that.
I don't think they were taking odds for the Tour de San Juan.
Well, where does this kind of leave Ganna now? We know he's going to the Giro. Is he going to be this? Is he the new Danny Martinez? Like Danny Martinez and Edgar Bernal were in this race. They were in the race.
And that might be a bridge too far there. I think it shows good form for Ganna opening time trial of the Giro. It's got a little kicker at the end. With Evenepoel and Roglic on the start list, maybe he's wanting to sort of get better at the hills.
Dropping Remco on this climb.
Oh yeah, but I'm also thinking about this early season climbing form we've seen from him over the past year. Tour de la Provence last year, also UAE Tour, he rode well on the uphill finish there in 2022. So maybe this is just Ganna showing that he can climb quite well at this in the winter of the calendar.
But Ghana aside, we are going to turn our attention now towards Spain. Obviously, we've had the Mallorca races that have happened, the series of one-day races around the island. And I must say, Intermarché really shocked me with their performances. Well, you can pick whichever ones you want to go for. Biniam Girmay is not one of their winners. Rui Costa taking a victory. Koberhausen winning 2 victories as well. And I'm not sure, did they win a 4th one as well? Or was that, I think Girmay podium twice on the weirdest finish. One of them was the most weirdest finish. Who was the winner?
It was Marijn Vandenberg.
Yeah, that one was most stupid finish I've ever seen to a race. The finish was on like a corner, so there was no opportunity for a sprint. Girmay kind of hinted at it in the post-race interview, but
I got to give Girmay some credit that he said it in a very eloquent way. Where
exactly.
It's easy to say, well, the race organizers, what was going on here? He said it in a way where it's like, well, maybe for next year you shouldn't do that, instead of sort of critiquing and burning bridges with the race. But yeah, Intermarché, we should also point out, number 1 in the UCI rankings at the moment for the first time in their history, given that we've just began a new cycle. But it's impressive for them after the first month of racing, with a couple of really, really strong results.
I actually got a photo with Rui Costa, so he won the next day, I think. So
there we go. But just looking down these results here, with Arnaud Delis winning the Valencia Classic to begin the week. Jente Binnemans in second place. Great transfer for RKS Samsic, already getting points for them. They've been quite good at sort of sneakily getting these UCI points over the past couple of years. Then in Calvian with Costa ahead of Vervaeke and Ben Healy. Great ride for the Irishman in third place. while Soudal kind of imploded behind when Alaphilippe was in the group with Bajoli. They held back. They didn't really want to chase Vavaka up front. Then Vavaka got beaten in a sprint by Costa. Perita Rodriguez knows that all too well from 2013. Then in Althoudia, that strange finish with Van den Berg ahead of Ethan Vernon, who continues his success in this part of the world. He won a stage in Catalonia last year, and now with strong results here in this Catalan-speaking region, Gurmai is as well up there on the podium. Then Polenza with Hossens proving himself, and then the day after, Jonseta as well, Hossens again. But a young Belgian really proving himself on Eitveld. He's just 21 years of age, won the Peace Race last year. It was the Communist Tour de France back in the day, but they made it into a youth race. He won that one. It's usually won by some quite promising riders. And then finally, to round off the week of racing in the Trofeo Palma, it was Ethan Vernon who beat Gurmai in a sprint, which similarly is very impressive for the British rider, who might be making that step up with Soudal in the new year.
Ethan Vernon, track rider. Do you think it's going to be the new sprint name that we're going to see with Quickstep? They're so good at turning out or making sprinters incredible. Fabio Jakobsen, Cavendish was amazing already. Gaviria, etc., Kittel.
I think it's possible. I think Vernon, because he's just been he's been quite unknown outside of that Catalonia win. Yeah, coming from a track. They have been really good, especially like those track stars like Viviani as well as another example. They do take these riders from a track and just make them into these incredible riders. I think that Vernon does have the capabilities of doing that, and I think it'll be really good. It's like, with GB kind of with Cavendish kind of phasing out, it'll be, we've kind of got a bit of a void as we don't really have a sprinter to fill that. And I know we have some, but I think that Vernon is certainly our fastest one at the moment. So it's good to see that another kind of big GB kind of sprinters coming into it. What are you going to say, Ewan? Who did I miss?
Matt Walls is what Ewan's going to say.
True.
Matt Walls, super strong sprinter, but has had a bit of, as Peter Sagan would say, unluck over the past year. But yeah, I mean, it is a really strong result for Vernon, who's proving himself more and more. But he has to step out the shadows of both Jakobsen and Merlier over the next year, maybe 2 years. It'll be hard. And also we heard from Patrick Lefevre at the beginning of last week after Deleuze win in Valenciana that he missed the boat on Arnaud Deleuze. So maybe that would hint at the fact that he wanted to pick up Deleuze in the years to come. And sorry to Ethan Vernon fans out there, but I think Deleuze is a little bit stronger than Ethan Vernon. So we'll see what happens in the sprinting department at Soudal Quickstep.
But nonetheless, it's not just races that has been happening in the start of the year. We've had big stories. Peter Sagan is probably where we'll start first, retiring from the road season at the end of this season, we think, or that's the suggestion anyway. What do you guys think of this? And it looks like he's going to switch his focus more towards the mountain biking, with the Olympics in Paris being his goal.
Yep. So he's announced that he will be retiring from the road at the end of 2023 with Total Energy, his team, in order to switch his focus for the mountain bike Olympic Games in 2024 with the aim of getting gold in Paris. Interesting decision from Sagan, a little bit out of the blue, but not too unexpected given his age. But he has had a wonderful sort of 10 years constantly at the top, a real shining personality in the sport. He's brought so much to the table that we can be very, very thankful for.
I think, he'll be dearly missed, even though, his results haven't been quite up to scratch, especially last year. But,
he also had so battle with COVID as well, which hasn't been great for him.
But, the whole, so when he's won Roubaix, he's won Flanders. It's a shame that he didn't get the record for, the green jerseys, in a way. He just about lost it.
No, he's got it.
Oh, did he get it?
Yeah, he's the most winning.
Losing it. But But he kind of I thought he was going to get more, but then the
7, more than 7.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I thought he was going to get more.
What? Well, I think
but then Wout van Aert came along, and then all of a sudden
but he's not going to be winning 7. Let's be honest. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I mean, Sagan hasn't. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame 'cause Sagan hasn't won Milan San Remo, has he?
Yeah, I was gonna
No,
say that. Like,
That's the one
how's that not a
not
thing?
Bart's and them
not
Nick.
yet, at least.
Oh, you think he's gonna do it
This is
this year?
it. The final.
No, I don't think he will. He's made errors. Well, not made. He's not made errors, but it's the hardest race to win for him. And he's always said that it's such a difficult race to ride.
Yeah.
Even in 2013, he's
I
been
think
close.
he messed that up.
2017, super
Yeah,
close.
he messed up the True League
2017.
one. He should have won that. He was
Yeah.
too eager. He started the sprint way too soon.
No,
But
I think the one is the Kwiatkowski one.
oh, you
Yeah.
think? Oh, okay.
2017. I reckon he could have won that. I think he led that out quite early, didn't he? Like he's very keen. I think that
Yeah, he's
I
so
don't know, maybe
keen to win the race, and that's
Yeah.
why.
like
Mate.
what else? Like three-time world champ as well. Like back to back to back. That's just
It's incredible. No one
Mate.
really comes close to that. And I mean, 12 stages of the Tour de France, we're forgetting that. 121 career victories. That's just, it's phenomenal.
Maybe he wins it this year because no one's talking about him, and he just
Sanremo?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I reckon once we get to Sanremo, people will start talking about him. It's a bit like Gilbert over the past couple of years. On the build up to Sanremo, people say, well, maybe Gilbert could do it. Maybe Gilbert could do it. But it never quite happened. I don't quite know if Sagan will have the edge to win, but I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if he came on the podium, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he was super consistent last week in San Juan, getting a number of top 10s. In fact, top 10 every single day, apart from the mountain stage to Alta Colorado. So he's definitely still got good legs on him, which I think is very honourable that he wants to bow out from road whilst he's at this point.
Yeah, because wasn't it? Which Olympic was it that he competed for mountain bike? Was it?
True.
Was it in Brazil?
Yeah,
2016. I swear, like when he was saying it, I was like, I swear I've heard this before. Because
not quite as successful as another World Tour rider who went and won it.
Yeah, just off of the cuff.
It's different though. I mean, Sagan just came out of the Tour de France where he wore the yellow jersey and won 3 stages. Then just got flown to Brazil and to do the mountain biking. Now maybe he's learned from that. He's got more time to switch his focus and then do the mountain biking in Paris 2024, which should be exciting to see him line up probably against, we would assume, Van der Poel, given his relationship with France, and Tom Pidcock will probably be on the start line as well, we'd assume.
But one of the other big stories that we're going to talk about, he had a press conference at his own coffee company that I didn't realize he had. Nairo Quintana is not a bike rider right now for any team. Obviously, we know his contract was torn up with Arkea Samsic after the Tramadol incident in the Tour de France, which subsequently meant that all his results were annulled. And guys, what do you think about this? All the teams, as you and I have been talking about, have kind of said no one at a time. Bahrain Victorious looked close. There was rumors Israel Premier Tech were going to be the savior, but everyone's kind of just said no, even St. Pyrian. No, I'm making that up. I forgot to say that I thought he hadn't been offered any any team had not been in touch, but apparently continental teams have been in touch, like Medellin and another Colombian team, but he doesn't want to race on that level. So he doesn't want to do like Miguel López. He wants to be on the top level. So I thought I'd just add that in as well because I thought that was quite strange.
Because I haven't really been looking at it too much because I was just like, I don't know, because I just presumed that he was going to get a contract, but I guess it's the whole Tramadol thing because it does bring a slight black mark to a team. Like if he goes to a team, essentially that team is going to be questioned in terms of their ethics, and I don't think a team, especially in this day and age where doping is still it's still an issue. Just in sport in general, and I don't think any team wants to be associated with that, so they've all just cut themselves off, and it's going to require a pro Conti team who really wants to step up and is perhaps a little bit more desperate to go and pick him up, but I haven't heard of which teams any of them might be interested.
Well, there was a Corotech saga for a while where they followed each other on Instagram, and we thought, it's something's coming, and exactly the same couple of days, Corotech were announced as a wild card for the Giro, sort of out of nowhere. We weren't expecting it. So then people thought, well, it's going to happen. But then he unfollowed them on Instagram, which really gave away that maybe something broke down. But I mean, I've heard from a source that he was very, very close to signing with Bahrain, like very, very close. However, ASO sent out sort of email or whatever they do, communication to teams to tell them not to touch Quintana.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what I've heard.
I imagine the ASO sent like something. That would be very ASO.
But they have
Old
such a
school.
big such a big sway in these races
Yeah.
where I mean it just saying that yeah, don't go near Quintana, it's probably
Wow.
enough for these teams that rely on ASO for the Tour de France, relying for the Pyrenees, all these big headline races, for them to say, well, don't really go near him. That opened up a door for RCS for those races, which Korotek would be invited to, but that doesn't seem to be on the table. Maybe that would open up the door for Pozzo Viva, who's still without a contract and hasn't formally retired. But in terms of Quintana, it's the strangest retirement I think I've seen, where he's just sort of trying to find somewhere. But this Tramadol case, that's what's going to be the roadblock everywhere he goes, and he's not willing to accept that he might have to step onto the continental level for a while. Maybe he wasn't willing to accept Korotek level. I don't quite know, but it's a shame that this has all happened, and it's come to this point where Quintana is sort of looking a little bit desperate.
I mean, if he went to Medellin, what a team. Miguel López, Nairo Quintana, like...
Yeah, but do they have the coin for both of them?
Wouldn't he, like, does he need it for one season? I'm pretty sure he's very rich.
Yeah, clearly.
He's got things.
He's got a coffee company.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone else got a coffee company here? But yeah, well, looking at the teams, if we're saying like all the teams that are relying on the ASO, so all the pro-continental ones, Kern Farmer, Iolo Cometa, what's his relationship like with Alberto Contador, Burgos BH? Don't really scream of money.
Burgos are attached to the Vuelta, which would be ASO.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true. Iolo Cometa then?
But then I think Ayola don't think would want Quintana. I don't know. It doesn't feel like he fits into that squad. It doesn't fit into the mold of Ayola Cometa. But I thought Korotek was a lifeline there. It seemed like something was maybe going to come of it, but yeah, I think we're going to see this slow sort of dissolution of Nairo Quintana. Freudian slip there, of Nairo Quintana in the coming weeks. I don't think it's going to be a happy one.
So anyways, that's it for this, the first and exclusive start of this, the Echelon podcast powered by the Cycling Dane. And great to have Patrick and Ewan and myself here. And of course, as always, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to your podcast provider, and we will be back next week. And this is our weekly podcast. So make sure to come back when we're back. So thank you very much for watching. Comment down below and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, have a nice day. Okay, boom.